Greetings. This is Revere Sky. I wanted to chat about something. You know, I don't even want to say no color codes to represent me anymore. No color codes. Because being indigenous outweighs everything. Yes, indigenous bloodline. Okay. I noticed that you don't see many videos about how to be sovereign anymore, right? And I wanted to discuss a few things. Let's see. I'm looking at my other phone. Okay. So, being indigenous, you don't have to give up your legal rights to be to have privileges. See, it's this guy, he told me, he said, "Yeah, my sister-in-law, she started listening to them YouTube videos and she lost everything she had." I said, "What you mean?" He was like, she didn't want to work no more. She didn't want to make money no more. She was like, the government fake this, that, and the other, yada yada, woo doo woo doo woo. And she just failed. So let me explain something to you. Being indigenous, meaning law of the land, being lawful, born into natural law, okay? You can still work within the system. You do not have to be a U.S. citizen to work in the United States. You do not. You do not have to be a United States citizen to drive a commercial vehicle. That's why they call it a work permit. Your laws are different. You do not have to get married. Listen, do your research. You do not have to get married and sign contracts with the government to be married. You do not have to get a birth certificate, a social security number. You do not have to do that. And when you turn 18, you have all rights to identify as tribal. So if your parents get you a social security number, start writing out tax credits and stuff on you, put you in the school system, when you get 18 or an adult, you have all the rights in the world to apply for your tribal identification. The reason being is, if you look at foreigners, if you look at, let's say, I'm not going to say the name, but there's a major trucking company. They trained me. And I kept wondering why they only paid 27 cents a mile. Once you start to go to their terminals, you understand why they only pay 27 cents a mile. They probably still paying 27 cents a mile. Swear to God. Like, I think that when I went to the terminals, I started seeing it was a bunch of foreigners there. And they made it easy so the foreigner didn't even have to know English to pass their prerequisites, like all of the tests you had to take before they put you in the truck. Like, they really didn't have to know English. Like, they give you the correct answer. Right. Like, at the end of the test, it'll give you all the correct answers. So the foreigners just write down the correct answer and go back and pass the test just if I would using my brain. So what am I saying? Those are foreigners that don't speak English, that are not U.S. citizens. On the other hand, they come with a work permit. So that means if you are tribal, indigenous, native to United States, meaning your identity has nothing to do with the government or becoming a citizen, you can work parallel with these people. You can drive a car with your tribal identification. You can work in commerce, meaning commercial vehicles, aircrafts. I'm sure they have, do your research, but I'm sure they have people who have citizenship in a whole nother country working in the White House. Say it again, Revere Sky. I'm sure they have people with a whole nother country citizenship working in the United States White House, working in government. Then you have the ones, like let's say if they work at the embassy or something. They're not going to give up the citizenship of their other country. These people are very highly intelligent people. They'll do a dual citizenship before they just turn their back on their own country. So you know how Ghana was like, oh, come to Africa and get you a citizenship. That's what their president kept saying. If you had any common sense, you would get a dual citizenship. You would never turn your back on your home country. You get a dual citizenship. Not only that, back to this. So you can't be afraid to try to get your tribal identification, because just as sure as a foreigner like a Mexican, a Jamaican, an African can come over here with a work permit, just as sure as you born on this land can come here and get a work permit. You do not have to be a part of the governmental system with citizenship and legalization to work in the United States or live in the United States. If you was born here, that's why I don't understand. Understand this now. Don't think that you're just going to sit up here and say, oh, they doing this, they doing this, and you're not going to work and you don't need money. You need money. You need to be able to work. You see how they do the animals, right? Animals living in the forest, and next thing you know, they chop the forest down. If you don't have no paperwork or documents, that's part of the fight. That's the prime part of the fight. So you have to worry about eminent domain and all types of stuff, right? Like they can build new highways, widen roads, all types of stuff. Eminent domain. It's messed up. It's really, really messed up. But there's a lot of cities that have been buried due to eminent domain. Remember, this country was built off a hostile takeover. It was not, we're going to work together. It was literally a hostile takeover. Some conquistadors, okay? So, and it got conquered twice. It was first conquered by melanated Spaniards, and then it became conquered by melanated British and Caucasian British. Okay? So that's the difference. A lot of people came to conquer America. The Portuguese, the Spaniards. First you had the melanated Portuguese, the melanated Spaniards, and the melanated British come conquer, and the melanated French. Then it became Caucasian because somehow they realized that they couldn't come over here and conquer us completely without changing their hue to their skin. So when you take on a citizenship in another country, let's say you want to go to Ghana, you trust the president, you want to become an African citizen. First of all, what are the indigenous people? What are the tribal people there legally? See, that's what you want to be. You don't want to become a citizen because you're caught in commerce type laws that don't even benefit you. You are like a dead entity. You are a business, you are a corporation. Okay? That's why when you're in court, you have to identify as flesh and blood. It's very important. If you go in there and identify as a corporation or a business entity, there's a problem. Why do you think Trump got away with so much stuff, right? Why do you think Trump got away with so much stuff? Because he didn't go in there as no business entity. So again, first step is to find out how to get your tribal identification. Now, if you claim you're from Africa, you need to study this. Dred Scott case. The descendants of slaves cannot become U.S. citizens. So study the Dred Scott case, because if you think that you are a descendant of slaves and you're not a free person, you're going to have problems. I've never in my life ever said I was a descendant of slaves. I've always said that my family and my heritage comes from free people. We are free persons, okay? Now, just because you know somebody that did servitude on a plantation don't mean they were a slave, okay? You got some people that live by it. Like, you can't tell a person in Mississippi or Louisiana that they didn't have slaves in their family, okay? So, you can't, this is not for everybody. This is for people to open their mind up some. It's very important that you can actually have a commercial license and a tribal license. When you're in your car, you use your tribal license. When you're in a commercial vehicle, you use your commercial license. Okay? And I notice when I get in detail about this stuff, like I wear my headdress, I wear my feathers, it seems like there's some type of calamity that starts to happen, like the hive mind be like, watch her, or it's just like phony stuff start happening, fake stuff start happening. Like when you have a police pull you over and say that you run a stop sign, and then you said, let me see the video footage, and they say you would have to order the video footage, and when you order the video footage, they say they ain't got no video footage on you. That shows that these people will try to use their hive mind robotic technology to interfere with truth. Just like Reza Islam said, how can you try to punish somebody for arming them with knowledge? So I'm arming you with knowledge. The United States has at least 30% foreigners, okay? They're not citizens of the United States at all. And they're able to make money. They're able to drive cars. They're able to get insurance. They're able to buy property. So don't think that you can't be indigenous or native to the United States of America because you're American, right? Don't think that you can't get your tribal ID. Don't worry about trying to be sovereign because the fight is bigger than that. The fight is way bigger than that. Don't try to be sovereign. Just start getting your identification. Don't try to get no Moorish identification. Get your tribal identification. Where were you born? Where were your parents born? Like me, I'm from Georgia, Muskogee Creek Indian, at the Chattahoochee River. Okay? My father was born there. My mother was born 90 miles down the road from there. You understand? Learn your tribe. Don't worry about Moorish law. You don't need it. Do you know how many people from my town where I was born had common law marriage? That's right, legally common law marriage. It works in court. After you live in a person's home for 6 months, it's common law. That was your law. Learn your law. Learn your local law. It's there. So just remember, if you want to go to another country and become a citizen, understand their dual citizenship, okay? Non-U.S. citizens versus commercial license. All these foreigners working in this country, they got driver's license, they got insurance, they got commercial license, and they're not citizens. You can work anywhere in the United States without being an actual United States citizen. You can drive a vehicle without being a United States citizen. Okay? You could come from Sweden right now and have driver's license. And you can drive over here. You never have to be a citizen. Remember this. You do not have to give up your legal rights, your born rights, your natural law rights for privileges. Okay? As a native, you have a right to govern yourself. That's right. So, you got to start studying this law. Okay? It's very important that you start studying this law. Now, I'm not adept or in tune with it, or adept, I don't know how to say it, but I'm not adept or attuned with it completely. But I'm about to get back into studying it full force because I know I have indigenous rights that cannot be tried as a dead person. See, under commercial law, being black, you're dead. You're not flesh and blood. You're not living. So you got to understand these are the basics. You're living and breathing and bleeding. These are the basics. Being indigenous and your lawful rights, you need to learn those. Foreigners versus indigenous persons. Foreigners and indigenous persons, a foreigner can work, so that means an indigenous person can work. You're not going to lose your tribal identification. You're not going to lose your indigenous rights if you want to make money. There is a permit for you to make money, okay? There is a way for you to make money and live under this hostile takeover, okay? The United States was taken over through a hostile takeover. And by it being a business and a corporation entity, you don't know who run it. You don't know who operate it. All you know about is the president. They have levels above that. They have levels where the president has to take orders from somebody else. Look at a business. A multi-fortune company or multi-million-dollar company. They have a president. But they have people behind the president that put them in that position. So who they want to represent the company, president, CEO, is all the same. It's all the same. But what's going on behind the company is a whole different story. And you'll never meet those people. You'll never meet those shadow workers. You'll never meet those masters. Those what you call shadow masters. So a foreigner is allowed to work in a country without a citizenship. All they need is a work permit. So by you being indigenous persons to this land, the U.S. territory area, hey, you do not need privileges, okay? See, when they gave the Caucasian the code, the racial code, white, they gave them privileges that they can take away. Tomorrow they could give them the code that they're black. 2/3 of a human. Dead if they want to. So you have to get out of that. Don't worry about Moorish law. Don't worry about Moroccan nations and all that. If you know for a fact deep down that you got tribal influence, learn about it. Don't fall short of it. And remember, study the Dred Scott case. The descendants of slaves cannot become U.S. citizens. So if you're hollering that you're a descendant of a slave, and you're not a free person, you really should check into things. And to those people who want to go to another country and gain citizenship, do not turn your back on the United States citizenship. Just get a dual citizenship. Okay? And learn what does that citizenship offer, because remember, African that comes to the United States is legally considered white. They're not considered black. 2/3 of a human. So really think about it. I'm going to leave it there. Unearth the magic, the truth will definitely set you free.